All right, here we go. I'm going to tell you the best way to go live right now. If that's something you want to do, or if that's something you're considering, or you don't know how, I think everyone right now has the capacity to go live. Everyone has the capacity to go live. Any place, anywhere. And I'm going to give you some shortcuts. I'm going to show you what I've learned along the way. I'm going to show you how I do it in the studio. I'm going to show you how I do it out in the community. I'm going to tell you what you should purchase, what you should take back. And today's show, I'm going to show you something I am absolutely taking back. The camera that is pointing at me right now is a Sony A7S. Sony smokes all these cameras when it comes to image tracking at a video level. It'll track video. It'll have, you could put the tracking bars, the red, you could do all of that with the monitor. That's why I use a Sony A7 in the studio, because all I'm using that camera for is live streaming. I don't do any movie producing with it. I don't do outside shooting with it. And the problem with the A7 Sony camera was basic. This little battery inside of that Sony A7 is going to cut out every 40 minutes. Like, the battery life on this on this Sony battery for that camera, if I were outside, I guarantee you it's going to shut off right when I get going. And you're going to have a bag full of these batteries. But anyway, I'm keeping my Sony A7. I recently purchased, and here's the news, for about $1,700, for about $1,700-ish, I purchased the Sony A6700. It's very lightweight. I love it. Sony A6700. Oh, yeah. By the way, here's something I want you to know, that if you are doing live video or you're shooting film and these little droplets on the side of your camera that hook to your strap, you should either tape them down or take them off, or when you get your files back, you're gonna hear some jingling. You hear that? It's gonna be them straps hitting this case, and it's gonna be disrupting your audio. And it's gonna be like, it's jingling, baby. Go ahead, baby. It's jingling, baby. Yep. That's what that is. So either take them off or tape them down, depending on how you use it. Now, this A6700, it comes with a different battery. They call them Z batteries. Look at this. Sony figured this out. We couldn't stand this little battery because it's always going dead. I did a test with this battery, and you could get about 2 hours out of this easy, because I was live streaming with this and a battery, and after about 40 minutes, this battery only went from 100% to like 87%. So I imagine this battery and this dynamic that Sony put together, they figured out the battery thing. But I'm taking this A6700 back, and let me tell you why, and nobody has said this online. And I'm also taking this small rig back. This small rig, the reason I'm taking it back is not because I don't love small rig. Check out this small rig. I'm going to show you something. This is the rig. Remember I was showing you the case on the iPhone? This is called a rig. This does not come with the camera. This is my small rig. I love small rig. Let me show you something. Let me take off this lens so I can take off this rig. That's a rig. You see it? Sadly, I'm taking it back. This is where you put your monitors on. This is where you can put your audio on. Remember when I was telling you this DJI, and by the way, this DJI is amazing. This is how you would be able to mount your transmitter to your DJI on your phone. I mean on your camera. On your camera. You would mount it to a rig. So right now, let me show you something. This small rig, brand new. I don't remember how much it cost. More than 100 maybe. Putting it back in the box, and it's getting returned. Why? The reason it's getting returned is because I'm returning this camera. Do not buy this Sony A6700 camera if you are live streaming. And perhaps even if you're making film, like if you're outside and you're shooting. I didn't see any reviews, but it is true. This camera overheats. Do not use a Sony A6700. The quality of the image is going to look brilliant. Your focus ability is going to be brilliant. Your ability to see yourself if you need it. Look, this is what happens when you turn these on now. Say, for example, you're filming yourself. Now you see you can look at yourself in the monitor if you're doing this by yourself. This is the beauty of this camera. Now you could put this on a tripod. You can take and look at yourself to make sure you're in focus. That you're in focus. But let me assure you, if anybody ever tells you that this camera does not overheat, it does. Not only that, I knew I was going to have problems when it came in the package with a battery, but no battery adapter. So in other words, you got to buy the additional battery adapter to charge up the battery inside. So they're cutting corners by not even giving you a way to charge the battery up. This is something you're going to have to buy separately. Finally, I want you to know that yes, this Z battery is incredible. It's going to hold up probably about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I don't know. But what you're going to find out, and I found out quickly. I shot a live show here in the studio with this when I was just testing it for about 35 minutes in a cool environment. It wasn't hot. I've been outside with this iPhone, and I've shot festivals that K-Tone has done. I've shot Juneteenth. I've shot the Black Arts Festival. I shot it in the hot sun, and this phone wouldn't shut down until about being in the hot sun for about an hour before that thermostat comes up and your system shuts down because it's just too hot to be live streaming in the hot sun. You can't put these in the hot sun because they're going to overheat. This Sony A6700 in a cool environment, when I finished shooting for about 35-40 minutes, when I was done, I put my hand on the camera and it was warm. It was warm. Now, this Sony A7 IV I've shot with, or I've live streamed with for years, and it's been live streaming ever since I started talking to you about live streaming, it's still cool. There's nothing in that camera that's going to tell you that it's overheating. As a matter of fact, I've got a Canon over here, and I'll show you the Canon over here. I think it's a G40 or something like that. I forgot to turn it off last night, and it was on, and it's been running for 30 hours, and there's nothing on it that has any heat at all. When I used this camera, and after about 35 minutes or so, I felt it and it was warm, I was about to say, maybe I'm mistaken. It's going to be all right or whatever. The next day, I did a full show with this camera. And the clarity of the picture looked amazing. But during the show, at about 50 minutes, the screen went like this. At about 50 minutes into the programming, while you all were watching, the screen went like this. And I was fortunate enough to go back and look to see what was going on, because sometimes your cable, your HDMI cable, it gets loose or it gets bumped or whatever. And Small Rig, they have a way that will never happen to you with this rig, because they've got an adapter that you can lock that HDMI cable down and it'll never get pulled out or bumped out. It's right there on the rig. What I was able to see when I looked, it was the thermostat, and it said the camera had overheated. It wasn't even hot in here. It said that the camera had overheated. So what I did is quickly, I went to the back and I had to go get a huge fan, and it was cold in here already. I had to put a fan on it to cool it down while I was still doing the live show. It cut back on, and then in about 15 minutes, it cut off again. Therefore, I was about to take this camera to West Africa as a lightweight, quick run and gun content camera, and I was glad that it let me down before then. As it relates to this Sony A6700, you see this? That's why I keep them boxes. As a matter of fact, here's the receipt. I spent $1,900, $1,958 for a camera that didn't have a battery adapter. It did come with a kit lens, the 18 to 135. I had to purchase this from the local camera store. If you're doing in-studio stuff and you don't want your batteries to die, you can get a dummy battery, plug it into your camera. Take a look. Make sure you get a dummy battery adapter. You can put it right up into your camera and then plug it into your wall. You see it? If you're not going to be running and gunning and you're not outside, you can just do that. So now I've got to return this to one place. I got to return this to one place, and I will today. The reason being is it's not a bad camera. It's probably a great camera. I bought an additional battery that I'm going to need to return. But here's the thing. You can't return batteries. You can't return batteries. So if anybody needs an extra Z battery, get at me. I've got one. This is going back. Sony A6700. Don't let anybody tell you that it doesn't overheat. When you go look at those reviews and they're saying it doesn't overheat, this is the adapter I purchased, by the way. This, you see this battery? I purchased this. It comes with a Z battery. So if you were the type like me, you want to get something, get it out the box and use it, you're going to get it. It's going to come with a dead battery and no charger. So then you're going to have to go find a place where you could buy an adapter, which I did. I don't know if the adapter can go back, but I know the battery can't go back. So where do I go from here? What advice do I have for you? I'm going to tell you a couple of things real quick. I'm going to show you something else that I use, but I haven't live streamed with. By the way, the Sony A6700, it's going back. Like, you know how you have those videos where they unbox? I'm doing a video where I'm boxing because that's going back. That's out of here. So if you get one of these, I guarantee you it's going to overheat. Or maybe I just got a lemon. I don't know. You see my rig. This is the big boy. This is a Canon R5. Look it up and look at the cost. I might just, I never streamed with it, but maybe I'll just pull out the R5 with the L lenses. Look that up. I'm going to go live in the coming weeks and show you what it's like to stream with a R5. All of this is a part of the cage. Hope this information was helpful, but it doesn't scratch the surface in terms of what you can do in terms of live streaming or going live.